Hindustan Times, 25th of April 2023, India and China agree to uphold stability in the LAC region. While building its maritime force to control the Indian Ocean, China is waging an all-out war against India and disturbing it in the LAC. At the most recent round of military talks held on Sunday to reduce tensions along the disputed border, India and China agreed to maintain security and stability along the Line of Actual Control (LAC) in eastern Ladakh, stay in close contact and continue their dialogue through military and diplomatic channels, and work out a mutually acceptable resolution of the remaining issues. At the Chushul-Moldo border meeting location on the Chinese side of the LAC, the 18th round of Corps Commander-level negotiations between India and China was held. The statement implied no immediate breakthrough, which China did not want. The two sides had a frank and in-depth discussion on the resolution of the relevant issues along the LAC in the western sector to restore peace and tranquility in the border areas, which will enable progress in bilateral relations, it stated. Following their meeting in March 2023, the two foreign ministers exchanged views openly and candidly, by the guidance provided by the state leaders. The sides have been embroiled in a boundary dispute for almost 3 years. The 17th round of Corps Commander-level negotiations between the Indian and Chinese forces took place in December 2022 to discuss unresolved border issues. Beginning in early May, the border dispute will enter its 4th year. The Indian and Chinese forces still have 60,000 soldiers posted in the Ladakh theatre after 4 rounds of disengagement from Galwan Valley, Pangong Tso, Gagra, PP-17A, and Hot Springs, PP-15. Depsang issues in the Dalek-Begoldi sector and Charding Nulla Junction, CNJ, issues in the Deemchoke sector are still being discussed. According to retired Lieutenant General Vinod Bhatia, an expert on military issues, both sides have strengthened their positions along the LAC. However, after the conflict in June 2020 in Galwan, there hasn't been any escalation in eastern Ladakh. There is hope for a peaceful, amicable, and equitable resolution as long as negotiations are ongoing, Bhatia noted. The 18th round of negotiations took place before the Shanghai Cooperation Organization (SCO) summit that will be conducted in New Delhi on April 27 to 28, during which the Chinese Defense Minister Li Shangfu will pay a visit to India. Li is the first Chinese defense minister to visit India since the conflict in June 2020 at Galwan, which strained relations between the two countries. During the 7-hour bloody battle in Galwan Valley near patrolling point 14, 20 Indian soldiers were killed. Although Beijing officially reported that only 4 Chinese soldiers were killed, India estimated that the number of losses for the PLA was 2 times more than for the Indian Army. The two sides agreed to uphold security and stability and released a similar statement during their most recent meeting in December 2022. 11 days had passed since a clash along the LAC at Yangtze, close to Tawang in Arunachal Pradesh, left several Indian and Chinese soldiers hurt. On April 19, Defense Minister Rajnath Singh said talks would continue to resolve the ongoing dispute in the Ladakh sector peacefully and that disengagement and de-escalation were the best course of action. He also expressed confidence in the Indian Army's capability to handle any situation along the country's border with China. India stated in March that a high-level panel would be established to expedite infrastructure projects in regions near the Chinese border. At a meeting Singh presided over to assess the status of a slew of infrastructure projects along the wall, it was decided to create a committee of secretaries to speed up the tasks. Several ministries, including the Departments of Defense, Transportation and Highways, Environment, Forestry, Climate Change, Railroads and Communications, Power, and New and Renewable Energy, are involved in the initiatives carried out in the forward areas. The Army is quickly constructing infrastructure in Ladakh and Arunachal Pradesh with a focus on better living conditions and improved facilities for soldiers, preservation of modern weapons and equipment deployed there, and supporting the quicker movement of men and materials to deal with any contingency amid the ongoing standoff with PLA. To counter China's military buildup after the standoff started in May 2020, India has deployed thousands of additional troops and cutting-edge military equipment to the Ladakh sector. Additionally, due to the altered dynamics along the LAC, an infrastructure push to improve the Army's deployment efficiency is necessary.